All right, welcome back. Number six, jumping right into CYSA practice exam questions number 6. 5 more questions to help you pass that CYSA exam. I've had a lot of students come to me and say, I want your CYSA for Security Plus, and I get that. There's a lot of overlap between Security Plus and CYSA. I think the main difference is the hands-on, or understanding the logs or the tool outputs, I think is the big difference. So, in a lot of ways, I feel like they're just an elevation of Security Plus. One of my favorite exams, believe it or not, I think I've said that before. I really like CYSA. I feel like CYSA is truly one of the very best certifications to get for cybersecurity. I feel like Security Plus is one of those certifications that you jump in for IT or when you're very first into it. And I feel like CYSA is the next logical step. All right, let's get into this. I know I've talked too much. Let's get into it. Let's start with question number 1. You're a network administrator and notice the following unexpected output in your system logs. What is the most likely explanation for this output? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I feel like they're trying to trick you on this one. What is this? All right, let's jump into this. Let's jump into this. All right, if you need more time, go ahead and pause the video. What is the most likely output? Now, we can see here on our logs that we see the log is coming in on July 7th at 12:34 to 12:35. We can see it's all against the same server using SSH, and we see the log numbers. We can see the password accepted for our user from, and we see different IP addresses, all the way down from 10 down to 13. And they're on different ports as well using SSH. So we see that 54,321 all the way through 324. So those are our hints right there. And so what is this? I feel like a legitimate user logging in from a different device is probably not going to be the case. And we can rule that out based on the time lapse, right? If you know impossible travel, you know there's no way that for a user can be identified on each one of these, right? And so it's providing us these IP addresses. And I want to point out that CompTIA loves to do this. They love to fool you. And when you're reading the IP addresses, right, and it says .10, .11, .12, .13, and they're all part of the same subdomain, realize that those IP addresses can be any IP address as far as CompTIA is concerned. And so, yeah. All right, so legitimate user logging in from different devices, I don't think so. I don't think so. That just doesn't make sense because we see accepted for the same user. It actually tells us that's right. I think we can get rid of that one. That leaves the other 3, right? What about a brute force attack? Well, if we saw signs of a brute force attack, we'd see decline, 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 and then accepted. Or we'd see accepted, decline, decline, decline. And it would normally be from the same IP address, right? From the same IP address. And we're not seeing that here. Could it be from different IP addresses? Yeah, it could be from different IP addresses, but not typically. And we would definitely see those declines, right? And so in order for brute force attack to occur, we'd have to see that. That leaves a C or a D. I'll give you a second on this one. What do you think? C or D? If you need more time, go ahead and pause it. Your second wind at this. A security misconfiguration, I'm afraid not. It's not a security misconfiguration. We are seeing a compromised user account. And what's going on is we see a user, right? In this case, user, logging in from several different websites, from several different domains, several different IP addresses, 10, 11, 12, and 13, all different websites, or I should say clients, going into it, logging in through SSH. Now, I feel like the ports that they offered you, what is that, 321, 22, 23, and 24, that was to lead you astray, right? There is significance there, but not really. The most significance is on the different IP addresses. Given the compromised user account, we see the different user. And so that's going to be our answer. Our answer is going to be D. D is going to be the correct answer, and there you have it. All right? I hope that made sense. Sometimes I don't explain these very well, but I try to. I try. All right, let's move on to question number 2. You're using a threat intelligence platform to monitor for potential threats. The platform has provided us the following feed. And we see the threat feed and different IP addresses. And our recommendation is to block all incoming and outgoing traffic to these IP addresses. What is the primary purpose of this threat feed? What do you think? What is the primary purpose of this threat feed? What do you think? I know we're going through this. I want to remind you, even though now CYSA gives us a little bit more time, right? And I think I'm continually harping on people, and I'm going, 30 to 45 seconds, 30 to 45 seconds. We have a little bit more time with CYSA. Same amount of questions. So you don't need to answer your questions within 45 seconds. I would say within a minute. Within a minute. You want to keep your guesses to a minute because the questions are longer. And they're a little bit more in depth than what we see on Security Plus or Network Plus. And so you have to read through the questions a little bit better. So they give you a little bit more time, which is nice, right? But 1 minute. That's where we want to keep it. We want to keep it at 1 minute. We want to move on with our lives. Just like Security Plus. If we need more than 1 minute, if we're just not getting it, we want to guess. Just guess. We don't want to leave a question unanswered. Even if we have to guess it very quickly, guess it, flag it, and move on. We don't want to spend more than a minute here because we want time for those performance-based questions. All right. I think I was spending like 10 to 15 minutes per performance-based question. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of time, a little bit more in depth with those PBQs on CYSA than we saw on Security Plus. So be aware of that. Okay. All right, let's answer this one. You're using a threat intelligence platform to monitor for potential threats. The platform has provided the following threat feed. We see some IP addresses that are malicious, and it says our recommendation is to block them. I feel like the primary purpose of the threat feed is not to provide us system updates. I don't feel like that's telling us anything about system updates. I feel like that's an easy one to get rid of. We know it's not system updates. To identify vulnerabilities in software. No, there's nothing on here to identify malicious software. It's not telling us there's any problems with our software. It's giving us IP addresses. And so I feel like B is an easy one to get rid of too. That leaves it C or D. C or D. What do you think, C or D? I feel like this is kind of an easy one once we've narrowed it down this far. I don't think it's to monitor network performance, right? We have IP addresses that are malicious, and so C is to inform about malicious activities and recommend actions, and it's doing both those. It's telling us here these some malicious IP addresses. We should block these IP addresses, and that's what it's telling us. It's very cut and dry. I feel like C is the right answer, and there it is, right there. We can see C is the correct answer. There we go. All right, question number 3. Number 3, you run Scout Suite to assess your cloud environment and receive the following output. And we can see Scout Suite report, service AWS. We see finding bucket, my bucket 123 is publicly accessible. Recommendation, restrict access to the bucket to only authorized users. What action should you take based on this output? What do you think? What do you think on this one? Another, I wouldn't say hard one, but I would say entry-level question, because I would not expect CompTIA, let me rephrase that, I would expect CompTIA to remove the recommendation. I feel like CompTIA would tell us, oh, here's a Scout Suite report, here's the service, here's the finding. We're not going to tell you what the recommendation is, but what action should you take based on this output? I feel like that would be something more akin to what CYSA would ask us, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's move on with this question. What do you think? What action should we take? All right, if you need more time, go ahead and pause it. I feel like we've got this. What action should we take from this output? Well, enable versioning on the bucket. I don't feel like versioning is going to do anything for us. It's not going to tell us anything. Matter of fact, it even tells us a recommendation is to restrict access to the bucket to only authorized users. And so really enabling versioning on the bucket isn't going to do anything for us. Excuse me. This is what happens when we wake up too early in the morning. I feel like migrating the bucket to a different region isn't going to do anything either, right? I feel like that is not going to do anything. That means B, delete the bucket immediately. Probably something we're not going to do. I feel like apply access controls to restrict public access. It even tells us in that question. Now, I would not, I think I told you, I would not expect to see this recommendation on CYSA. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't expect to see that, right? So if we saw something like this, finding my bucket is publicly accessible, I would expect to see that. So how would I answer this question without the recommendation? I would go through the same process and I go, okay, my bucket 123 is publicly accessible. That's what it's telling us. That's the finding. And so enable versioning of the bucket. Is that going to fix the finding? No. Is deleting the bucket immediately? That is an answer I would expect to see. We are never deleting anything unless there's a reason for it. And so not something I would normally do. Migrate the bucket to a different region would not fix this. And then apply access controls to restrict the public access. So I would see, if I was doing this without the recommendation, I could foresee us going down and going, okay, well, it's got to be B, delete the bucket, or C, apply access controls, because that's literally what it's saying, right? And so we would want to dive into it, and we're not going to delete anything. We're not going to. We have to go through change management for process on that one, but we can change the access controls. We can do that, right? There we go. There's our answer right there. Question number 4. During an internal investigation, the legal department requests that certain emails and documents be preserved and not deleted or altered. What process are they requesting? What are they requesting us to do? Kind of an easy question. It's kind of a definition question, I feel like. So this is typical, I would say, of a normal CompTIA question for this exam as well. It's giving us a little bit of information. I would say this is a low-end question, right? This isn't, we usually do the tools, we're usually doing other things like that, but this is very much the question I would expect to see in CYSA. Definitely a question I would expect to see. Right? Let's jump into this one. If you need more time, go ahead and pause the video. But let's do this one, right? During an internal investigation, the legal department requests that certain emails and documents be preserved and not deleted or altered. What process are they requesting? I don't think it has anything to do with data encryption. Like data encryption, they're not asking us to encrypt it. They're asking us to, hold on to them. They're saying, hey, don't delete these. Don't get rid of them. So data encryption, not going to be something we do. Data wiping. They specifically asked us not to delete it, so why would we wipe it? I feel like we could get rid of that one too. So that leaves legal hold or data masking. And I think right off the bat, just knowing that it's from the legal department and asking us to hold on to it, that kind of identifies it as being B. I feel like that's kind of an easy one. So B would be our correct answer. It's a legal hold, something I would definitely expect to see as a good question in CYSA. Very a low point question, but still a question I would expect to see. All right, last question for the night. Your service company assigned an SLA with cloud service provider. The SLA includes the following clause: uptime guarantee 99%, response time 1 hour for critical issues, resolution time 24 hours for critical issues. What does the uptime guarantee mean for your company? What does it mean? What do you think? I feel like this is another question I would expect to see in CYSA, believe it or not. They really like to throw these technical questions at you where here's a snippet of what you're doing, this is the expectation, and you need to know how to read it. You need to know what it's saying, right? And so it's asking specifically, what does the uptime guarantee mean for your company? If you need more time, go ahead and pause it. We're going to go ahead and answer this question. Your company has signed an SLA with a cloud service provider. The SLA includes the following clause: uptime guarantee of 99.9%. What does that 99.9% mean? That's what we're asking. I think we can safely get rid of A. The service will never experience downtime. No, it will experience downtime. We know that it will experience downtime. We can never guarantee 100%, right? But we can guarantee 99, and that's what we're saying here. So 99.9% is not never. There is a 0.1% chance. So we get rid of that one. The service will be unavailable for no more than 1 hour per month. So no, it's not saying that. It's just saying the uptime guarantee is 99%. We can see a response time of 1 hour. We can see a resolution time of 1 hour. And what we're saying here is that we need to respond to all critical issues. If you report a critical issue to us, we have to start our response time within an hour, which means we have to have somebody there actively working on it within an hour. That's what we're saying. And we have to resolve that issue within 24 hours. But there's nothing that says it can't be unavailable for no more than 1 hour, right? And that leaves C and D, right? C, the service will be available 99% of the time, or D, the service will have 100% availability during business hours. It's going to be C, right? The service will be available 99.9% of the time. It literally says that for uptime guarantee. I feel like this is kind of a simple question if you know how to read it. If you know how to read it, if you use that critical functionality. Kind of an easy question day to me. Kind of an easy question day, but that's okay.